Good afternoon. My name is Corporal Zimmerman, and today I'm going to give a block of instruction on how to orient a map using a lensatic compass. Before we get into our task condition standards, I just want to go over the risk assessment for today. Overall risk assessment is low. We identified a clear route into our training area and make sure you avoid any tripping hazards or obstacles that you may encounter while in the training area conducting this training. Also, it's extremely hot and humid out, so make sure that you guys are hydrating before, during, and after this class in order to prevent any sort of heat injury or anything like that. Shouldn't be too long of a class, so no, like I said, the risk assessment is low. Also, we are in the woods, so we need to maintain situational awareness at all times in order to prevent any interactions with unwanted wildlife or insects of that matter. So, also, it is the responsibility of all DoD personnel to protect and preserve the environment. So that means any trash, training materials, anything you guys brought in with you, need to make sure we take out when we leave. We'll conduct a police call before we are formally dismissed. All right, one more thing, last thing, I want to go over the foreign disclosure. This training product has been reviewed by the training developers in coordination with the G2 Fort Benning Foreign Disclosure Officer. This training product can be used to instruct international military students from all approved countries without restriction. So basically this is an unclassified block of instruction. All right, like I said before, our task is to orient a map using a lensatic compass. Our conditions: you are a member of a squad or team in a field environment and have been directed to orient a map in preparation for movement. You have a 1 to 50,000 scale topographic map of the area and compass. Some iterations of this task should be performed in MOP 4. Obviously, we don't have MOP 4 with us. However, through the training, you will be allowed to successfully orient a map if you are in MOP 4. Standards are to lay a map in a horizontal position, determine direction and value of declination, and orient the map on the ground using a compass, like we have set up here. All right, so the first step is basically, you got to have a map, you got to have your compass, you got to have your protractor. All those things are going to help you enable to successfully orient this map. Special care should be taken when orienting your map, because if you do it incorrectly, you obviously will end up going the wrong way, which can lead for failure of the mission and put lives in danger. So another important thing to hit on is, once the map is oriented correctly, it's very important not to move the map, because that will change your magnetic direction, like I said, throwing off the way that you're supposed to be traveling and putting your mission in danger if you were in this situation where you had to navigate with only using a map and compass. All right, now we're going to get into the performance steps. Performance step number 1 is to lay the map in a horizontal position. Number 2, determine the direction of declination and its value from the declination diagram. The declination diagram is something that's located on all maps. It's usually in the lower right corner. However, as soon as you locate any sort of margin or something like that, you'll be able to find the declination diagram and determine its value. So there's 2 techniques when orienting a map using a lensatic compass. The first method we're going to talk about is basically using a straight edge, right? So you're going to take a straight edge. In our instance, we have a protractor. It's a really great straight edge, but you can really use whatever you want in order to do this. You're going to line up that straight edge with the north-south running grid lines on the map. Essentially, you can either draw a line, or honestly, you can use the lensatic compass. These compasses are kind of built very much like a square, so they have a really good straight edge that you can line up with the north-south running maps. Nate one step. Once you have the compass lined up north-south on the roads, you're really close to orienting the compass, because you can obviously see on the compass where north is facing and then adjust the map accordingly. basically the last thing that you have to do at this point using this method is to verify the value of your declination diagram and then adjust your magnetic direction and the map based on that value. So obviously if the declination diagram is like a east to west, you know, that depends on whether or not you move it right or left. Your declination value will vary depending on where you're currently located along the earth, basically. The second method to orienting a map using a lensatic compass is to this applies more with the protractor, right? You're using a straight line. So using this straight line, like I said, you're going to get that declination diagram and declination value, and use that value to make an adjustment for your straight line, and that line is basically going to be the azimuth of what your true, or your, not your true north, but what your north is. Once you have that line kind of sketched out on your map, you use that straight edge and then the straight edge of the compass to line that up with your north, and then adjust the map and adjust the compass as necessary so everything's pointing towards that declination value, and now your map is oriented. It's really simple. Some of these kind of like sub steps and stuff are a little tricky, just when you're talking them through, but when you're actually doing it on the ground, it's very, very basic. It's very easy to learn, very easy to pick up. So now I'm going to provide a quick demonstration on one of those two steps to orient a map successfully, and then I'm going to talk through what I did at this time. So just for your guys' situational awareness, I chose to use the first method, where you basically align the compass, the straight edge on the compass, with the north-south running road, and then adjust your direction based on the value of your declination diagram. So first things first, obviously I oriented the map horizontally. That's step one. Very, very simple. It's basically already done for you, as long as you're not standing up or like holding the map, or if it's sitting on something, on a table on the ground, it's already oriented horizontally. So from there I moved on to the second step, and I chose to use method number one just because that's the one I feel most comfortable with. So I quickly lined up the straight edge of the compass with the north-south running grid lines on the map, and then adjusted my position as well as the map's position, which is basically the key there, the map orientation, to directly running north-south. Then I identified the value of the declination using the declination diagram located on the bottom. On this map, it's on the bottom right of the margins of this map. From there, I adjusted my magnetic direction as well as the map in order to get a true orientation of where north is. Like I said, it's very, very simple. So at this point in time, I'm going to kind of reset the training material. And we're going to move into the evaluation phase of this training. So I have Specialist Sanchez, who is going to come in. I'm going to reread the performance steps, performance measures, and then I'm gonna allow him some practice time to practice these methods, and then we're gonna test him, and I'm gonna ensure that he met all of the performance steps and make sure he's a go at this station, and then determine whether or not retrain or retest is required. So, Specialist Sanchez, you're going to orient a map using a lensatic compass. Your performance measures are lay the map in a horizontal position. Then, you're going to determine the direction of the declination diagram and its value from the declination diagram. Then you're going to orient the map using the 1 or 2 methods. First method, like I used, was to line up the compass with the north-south running grid lines and then adjust using the value of the declination diagram. Second method is going to be to draw basically a line on the map using that azimuth adjusted off north-south from the value of the declination diagram. Then lay your compass on and then orient the map that way. After that, the map will be successfully oriented, and I'm going to check your work. So, do you have any questions of me at this time?
No, I do not, Corporal.
So now I'm going to allot you some time to practice these performance steps. Take 2 to 3 minutes, as much time as you need, in order to get a good rep in. If you have any questions, let me know. And then once you're finished with practice, we'll move on to the actual evaluation.
Roger that, Corporal. I'm finished, Corporal.
All right, roger that. Now you got a good rep in, got some good practice. We're going to move into the evaluation. So I'm going to reset the training equipment one more time, and then you're going to go into the evaluation phase. So same performance measures as before. Now this time it's going to be performance or evaluated for your performance. So I'll let you know if you're a go or a no-go after you're complete. Take as much time as you need. Try not to go over 5 minutes to complete this task. Do you understand the task at hand?
Roger that, Corporal.
All right, roger that. Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
I'm finished, Corporal.
All right, roger that, specialist. Let me inspect your work real quick. Mr. Sanchez, at this time, you failed performance measure number 2, which was to determine the direction and declination of the declination and its value from the declination diagram. So basically what you did was you oriented the map just using the north-south running grid lines. Didn't take into effect the change in direction of that declination diagram based on its value. So therefore, your map is not correctly oriented. So unfortunately, you are a no-go at this time. At this time, I'm going to allow you 2 options. You can either come back tomorrow, 1300, we can go over some retraining and then perform another retest, or we can conduct a real quick, some more practice, another retrain right now, and then you'll be retested again on these performance measures. Which would you prefer?
Let's go ahead and practice and retest on that.
All right, roger that. So I'm going to reset the training material. I'll read over the performance measures again. Step number 1, lay the map in a horizontal position. Step number 2, determine the direction of the declination and its value from the declination diagram. Number 3, orient the map, and subsections on that third step are to use one of the 2 methods, whether that's lining up the compass with the north-south running grid lines, or drawing an azimuth based on the value of the declination diagram. Do you understand what you must do at this time?
Yes, it'd be cool.
All right, roger that. Take another minute or 2, get another good rep in for practice, and then we'll evaluate you one more time.
Roger that, Corporal. I'm ready, Corporal.
All right, roger that, Specialist. You already reset the training material. At this time, we're going to move into your second evaluation. Like I said, take as much time as you need. Try not to take more than 5 minutes to complete this task. Do you have any questions of me?
No, I do not, Corporal.
All right, roger that. Go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
I'm finished, Corporal.
All right, roger that. If you want to take a step back, I'll verify your work. All right, Specialist Sanchez, you successfully oriented this map. I noticed that you used the first step we went over, whereas you lined up the compass with the north-south running grid lines and then adjusted based on the value of the declination diagram. So we're going to go over your performance measures again. Lay the map in a horizontal position. Successful. You are a go. Determine the direction of the declination and its value from the declination diagram. You obviously did that since the map was oriented on the correct azimuth, so you are a go at this time, which leads me to the third performance measure, which was orient the map. So you are a go in all three portions of this training, and congratulations for that.
Okay, Corporal. Thank you.
So at this time, the training and the evaluation portion of this class is complete. Now we're going to move into the AAR portion. So going back to our task condition standards, our task was to orient a map using a lensatic compass. Conditions where you are a member of a squad or team in a field environment and you've been directed to orient a map in preparation for movement. You have a 1 to 50,000 scale topographic map of the area and a compass. Some of the iterations of this task should be performed in Mach 4. Obviously we didn't have Mach 4. And the standards were to lay the map in a horizontal position, determine the direction and value of the declination diagram, and orient the map to the ground using a compass. So we went through the performance steps in depth. We talked about the two different methods of orienting a map using a lensatic compass. I demonstrated one of the two methods. We conducted some practice and then an evaluation phase, which led to successfully training 1 of 1 soldiers with 100% accuracy on this task. At this time, I'd like to get some sustains and some improves.
Some improves we can definitely work on as taking your time when orienting the map. That has a big factor of people messing up and screwing up because they're in a big rush. So as long as you're taking your time and making sure you're following those steps, that can definitely improve in making sure that you get a go.
All right, roger that. Thank you for your input. All right, lastly, like I said before, it's the responsibility of all DoD personnel to protect and preserve the environment. So make sure you guys, we collect all these training errors before we leave. Also, super hot out here. I'm sweating. I'm sure you guys are all sweating. Make sure you guys are hydrating throughout the day in order to prevent the risk of heat injury. So at this time, we're going to perform our police call, and then we'll be dismissed.
Roger that, Corporal.
All right, thank you.